Hi, let us see this video first.
আমি সুন্দরবন বায়োস্ফিয়ার রিজার্ভে কুমিরমারি গ্রামে থাকি।
Covering an area of 9,630 square kilometers, Sundarbans is the world's largest remaining tectonically active deltaic mangrove forest. With an exceptional range of flora and fauna, it has the highest number of mangrove biodiversity globally. This is the only mangrove tigerland in the world. Measures taken by the management have been effective in controlling human-tiger conflict. Nylon net fences have been erected along the forest village interfaces. Quick response teams are stationed at strategic locations to manage tiger stray incidents. Regular interactions with fringe villagers have improved user awareness in Sundarbans remarkably.
So in this video, we have seen the Sundarbans. Sundarbans is the biosphere reserve in India, which is very much known for its biological characteristics and the presence of tigers. And human-animal conflict is one of the huge issue in this Sundarbans. The fish diversity in this area is also very known. So in this video, I am going to talk about biosphere reserves. Biosphere reserves is a type of in situ conservation practices. It's actually a multi-purpose protected area. We are conserving the whole area as a biosphere reserve so that whole organisms, plants, animals and microorganisms and with its abiotic factors and cultural practices of the tribal population and local communities can be preserved. So that's why we call it as a multi-purpose protected area. It preserves natural habitat. It promotes research in ecological conservation. It provides facilities for education and awareness. Actually, we can actually go and stay there. We can learn about the tribal populations and local communities. We can learn about study about the ecological parameters and ecological things. Everything is permitted in a restricted manner. We cannot just go there. We need to get the permission from the government and the forest office and everything to get into a biosphere. So, and there are some areas where you can go, and most of the areas are designated as human activities are totally prevented. It supports conservation of ecosystem. The whole ecosystem is conserved so that the all known and unknown animals in this area will be protected. It conserves all forms of life along with its supporting system, abiotic factors. It includes terrestrial, marine and coastal ecosystem. The biosphere most of the biosphere reserves are in a terrestrial ecosystem, but some of them are in marine or the coastal areas. These areas are protected by law. The national laws are protecting this area, so breaking of this, entering these areas is illegal. These biosphere reserves are designated as learning places for sustainable development. How sustainable development can be done in an area is shown by this biosphere reserves, and it is planning. It is made to minimize the conflict between development and conservation. So we are designating this area only for the conservation and the ecological sustainability. And the biosphere reserves are designated by UNESCO. Under UNESCO, they are naming or they are declaring some areas biosphere reserve depending on its characteristics. And these national governments are actually nominating these areas to UNESCO, and they will study the characteristics, and if they are consistent with their criteria, they will actually designate that area as the biosphere reserves. Globally, we have about 701 biosphere reserves in 124 countries. And there is a world network of biosphere reserves actually link different biosphere reserves in this WNBR. It is actually to dynamic and interactive network, sharing the resources, sharing the knowledge, how the things can be managed, everything be shared in this WNBR. To promote collaboration and cooperation among these different biosphere reserves. So this is the structure of a biosphere reserve. our Sundarbans is constructed like this. There will be core area of this biosphere reserve, which does not allow any human interactions. So there will be so many endemic species will be there, and so entry of humans is totally prohibited in this core area. Surrounding the core area, we have something called a buffer zone, and research and education is allowed here, but not commercial activities or human settlements are not really allowed in the buffer zone. And surrounding the buffer zone, we have a transition zone. The transition zone is actually the area of cooperation. Here, human settlements, sustainable industries, everything is tourism, everything is allowed here. Uh, so this is the structure, basic structure of a biosphere reserve. It has three different areas. First one is core area, strictly prohibited zone of the biosphere reserve. It contributes to the conservation of the landscape, ecosystem, species and genetic variation. It contains many endemic plants and animal species. So the main protection, the conservation is happening in this core area. They conserve the wild relatives of economical important species like rice and wheat. They have the wild relatives, wild counterparts there, so they need to be protected. So the conservation will be done in the core area. It acts as a genetic reservoir for scientific research and everything. It is completely free from human interferences. Buffer zone is actually surrounding or adjoining the core area. It used for the activities compatible with the sound ecological practices. If it is the activities which actually disturb the core area won't be allowed in this buffer area. It reinforces scientific research, monitoring, training, and education in a controlled manner. The activities are managed to help protection of the core zone. So it is a bit liberal but restricted. Restoration of the habitat, restoration activities, limited tourism, fishing and hazing are restricted, but with prior permission we can do these things. But each and every buffers biosphere reserve had different characteristics. So based on that, the government will decide what to allow and what to restrict. Outermost part of the biosphere reserve is the transition zone. It is actually a zone of cooperation. It fosters socio-cultural and ecologically sustainable economic and human activities. Human settlement will be there. Humans are allowed to do agricultural activities, and sustainable industry can run there. And there can be agricultural practices are promoted, and it is actually areas for intense recreation and ecotourism. So the figure can be drawn like this about this biosphere reserve. Previously I show a simple figure. In this we have the core zone here. Only the research activities are allowed here in a very restricted manner. In the buffer zone, there can be human settlements, especially for the tribal population. Education and training can be done here. Tourism is promoted, especially ecotourism, and research is also here. Outside the this transition area, there is extensive human settlements like ecotourism and education and training. Everything will be done in this transition area. Transition area will have some restrictions. The activities which cause the harm to the eco environment will be completely restricted in the all these areas. Criteria for designation. The criteria to designate a place as a biosphere reserve is developed by UNESCO under Man Biosphere Reserve Program. So, a site for designating one site as biosphere reserve, a site might contain protected and minimally disturbed core area, which is the heart of the biosphere reserve, and the core area must act as a biogeographical unit, and it should be a large area so that it can sustain viable population representing all trophic level. It should be self-sustaining. All trophic level activities should be there. And there should be ways to involve local communities for this conservation practices. Then the area should have potential for preservation of traditional modes of living. The association between the government and the tribal and local community should be there. Then only we will be able to maintain biosphere reserve for the protection of the biodiversity. India has different biosphere reserves. In the previous video, we have seen the Sundarbans, where actually the Hooghly River coming to the sea. Then in Kerala, we have Nilgiri, which is a biosphere reserve, and Agasthyamala is also a biosphere reserve. Functions of biosphere reserve. The functions can be seen in three different categories. First one is conservation of biodiversity and cultural diversity. The under biodiversity, biosphere reserve help to protect genetic resources, endemic species, ecosystem, and landscape, and it also help to prevent man-animal conflict. That's a big issue, especially in Kerala. Sometimes the wild animals come into the human settlements and create problem. It allows the protection of wildlife, culture, and customs of the tribal together. So the man-animal conflict will be avoided, and it will protect wildlife along with the culture and customs of the tribal population. It actually helps the development, the economical development, as which is a socio-culturally and a environmentally sustainable way. And most of the biospheres, the area, the only the local communities will be allowed to do this economical activities there. So the local community will get benefit. Logistics support, development through research, monitoring, education, and training. So this area is used to improve awareness about the importance of biodiversity uh, to the local communities as well as to the visitors. Thank you so much for listening.